welcome. I am so excited to have you here embarking with me on this journey to your authentic, inspiring voice. This is just the first step of something truly incredible that we are going to experience together. And I am so glad that you are here. Before I get too excited, before I get ahead of myself, let me introduce myself properly. My name is Danielle Benson. I run the Inspired Speaker Academy, and I guide speakers of every experience level who are aspiring and inspiring. They want to get their message out there. I guide them to fall wildly in love with speaking on stage and on camera, because this is an important medium. And not a lot of us are doing it in a way that is authentic and that is connected. And to be frank, that is easier and more free. A lot of us are overcomplicating it. We're getting scared. We're leeching the life out of it. And that is not the way it's meant to be. It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be fun and free and flexible and genuine and authentic and connected. And that is why I am here to help you to discover that. Now, if you are listening to me and you're thinking, yeah, sure, that's fine. It's easy for you to say. You're obviously good at this. I personally am not sure how I feel about that last little bit. I'm working on it. I feel like we are all works in progress. But if you do look at me and think there's no way I could get there, let me tell you, it has not been an easy ride. It has taken me an extremely long time to get to be as good as I am, and I am not where I want to be. But even so, I acknowledge, we're all somewhere on our journey, and I have things that I can share to help you get from wherever you are to better and on your way, and hopefully even surpass me in your speaking prowess. Because this is all just technique. This is the magic about the way that I have approached speaking, the way that I learned it, and the way that I'm going to share with you over this podcast is that it's technique. It's repeatable, and you do it again, and you improve. It's a skill. The same way that playing the piano is a skill. Some people are born more talented than others, sure. But without technique, you will never become a concert pianist without practicing, without technique, without learning. You may have an inherent skill there. There may be, you maybe have a step up over other folks, but you still have to do the work. Technique is what allows us to trust ourselves, to feel safe, to understand this art that we are learning. Because speaking, communicating, even though it is something that comes natural to us, it is also an art. And we can do it in an artful, masterful way. One of my favorite quotes by Larry Silverberg, who teaches the Meisner technique, which is an acting technique. One of my favorite quotes by him is, "Technique creates the circumstances within which the miraculous can occur." We don't want to be seeing a speaker's technique. We don't want to be looking at them and going, wow, they really pronounce their words really crisply, or wow, their breath support is really good. The technique should not be what's on display. What's on display is your magic, your unique essence, your message, your passion. That's what's on display. But the technique is there to make that happen, to support it. Anyone can have a good day and miraculously have one good day where they're an amazing speaker. But to make that consistent, to make that show up every time, that's what the technique is for. Technique is there to support us, to lift us up when we're not having good days, when we're not feeling inspired, but to get us there, to get us present, to get us connected, to get us on form no matter what. When I began my journey, I had a lot to learn. I was so disconnected from my body. I kind of talk like this because I grew up in South Africa, and it's part of it is the accent, but part of it is also just the way that I was. And I had this really kind of annoying, kind of flat nasal voice because of the way that I felt about myself. I didn't know that at the time. I hated the sound of my voice when I began this journey. I was so full of fear. I was so full of judgment. I was totally disconnected from my body. And it took me a long time to learn these techniques. Way longer, let's be honest, than it should have. So I'm a great person to ask if you're struggling, because I have struggled with everything. I did everything the long way round, the wrong way round, before I figured out how to be more efficient and more effective in the way that I speak and connect to myself and others. It took me some time. I was so nervous. I was riddled with anxiety. I was so scared about speaking. I was scared of humiliating myself. I was scared of what people might think. But I had this big fire inside of me. I had a big fear and I had a big fire, and it wouldn't be ignored. So I figured it out. It took me a while, but I had to persist. And so I kept going. But it took me a while because I didn't even realize that I could change certain things, like my voice, like the sound of my voice. I didn't realize I had power over that. I didn't realize that I could. Never mind how. No one was there to teach me. I was learning breathing techniques. I was learning elocution, but I wasn't learning how to connect to myself. My stage fright had me so neurotic, and in my head, I was so disconnected. It took me a long time, but eventually I found someone who could teach me practices, breathing practices, grounding practices to get into my body, not just to work on my body, but to inhabit it, to use it, to drive it from the inside so that I could use my body as an expression tool, so that I could live in it. And by learning these techniques and going through these exercises, it was a very physical practice. But by doing that, I learned how to come home to my voice. I changed my relationship with my voice. You know, so many people think that their voice is like their height. It is what it is, but your voice is more like your posture. You have the body you have, but it's what you do with it that shapes it. And so I learned what I was doing and what I wasn't doing, which muscles were overworking, which ones weren't working enough, how I could connect to myself so that it was me that I could hear. Because that sound of my voice that I didn't like, that I heard, it wasn't me that I didn't like. It was what I was doing. It was the posture of my voice. If you think about it, it's lots of little daily habits that create the way we stand, the way we sit, the way we walk. So if you do the same thing over and over, but it's bad for you, you will eventually, maybe if you're constantly leaning over a computer, for example, you may eventually develop a stooped posture. But if you find a physio early enough and they give you some exercises, you can change that. You can even undo a lot of the damage that you've done. And the same is true for your voice. It's habit. Habit that has become so normal that it feels like you can't change it, but you can. You can through small, daily habits, through practices, through learning and understanding how it works. So this was huge for me. And as I was doing these exercises, as I was building this relationship with my voice, I felt that my voice was changing. Like the sound changed just because I was doing these physical exercises. My tone changed and my attitude changed. And I realized that those things that I was listening to, they were my judgments. They were the defensiveness I had, the despair I was in. That's what I was hearing, that I was reacting to. And as that melted away and I became to enjoy this relationship with my body and my voice, I began to hear that in my voice. I love the sound of my voice now. It feels good. It should feel good. We don't really address self-love in speaking training, but I feel like we should, because it's a huge part of what's going on. If you are a speaker, you are standing up there and you are sharing your essence. You are exposed. You are speaking about your passions. You're standing for something. And if you don't feel confident, if you don't love what you're talking about, and you don't feel at least some type of love or acceptance for yourself, it's going to create a barrier. Those insecurities are going to create a barrier between you and your audience. And all they're going to see is the insecurity, because that is it's like a, it's like a mask that we wear, and it covers everything else. We have to get rid of that. There's so much we need to undo, all those defense mechanisms and those insecurities, so that we can be seen for who we are. And it's only then that we can stand in our truth and be heard, because speaking takes courage. And then what's cool about that is I learned that by being authentic, by being transparent, by being humble and earnest and honest about where I was, letting myself feel the fear, letting myself feel everything, I didn't have anything to be scared of anymore. Because when you are being totally transparent and standing in your truth, no one can hurt you. They can hurt you when you're pretending to be more confident than you are, when you're pretending to know more than you do, when you're pretending to be more together than you are. That's when people can hurt you, because they can see the chinks in your armor and they can poke and they can say, oh, but that's not true. And oh, but that's not true. This is where imposter syndrome comes from, by trying to inhabit something that we don't feel. And reality might be something different. Like maybe you really do know what you're talking about, but you don't feel it. If we don't bring those feelings with us, that imposter syndrome is just going to get bigger, which is why embodiment is so important. And standing in your truth is everything, because then you are safe again. You know your truth, and everyone can see it, and it feels vulnerable and it feels exposing, but it is also so strong and so courageous. And I learned too that by stepping into that courage, I wasn't waiting for confidence to come along. Confidence is a side effect. It comes later. Confidence is the reward you get after doing the hard work. You have to prove your competence. You have to stand up and be courageous. Courage over confidence. Courage comes first. Confidence is your reward. You don't need your reward first. You need to find your engine. What drives you? What is your passion? Is it longing? Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it love? What is it that makes you go, I want to speak. I have something to say. When you can find that, and you can tap into that, all this kind of self-insecurity, self-image stuff it falls away. It's not important anymore. And you can stand at who you are. It's a beautiful thing, because humans are beautiful. We're messy and we're glorious in our mess. The world doesn't need more robots. The world doesn't need more polished perfection. The world needs more messy humans. We need to connect on that level of intimacy and compassion. That's what we need right now. Your voice doesn't need to be beautiful. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be expressive. You need to be transparent and flexible and fun and fragile and agile. All these things. We need more human communication. A perfect voice is not useful. A transparent voice, one that shows what's going on, one that connects on a human level. That's what technique is for, is to help you find that agility, that vocal variety, if you will, that energy to connect with other people. Because now is not the time to be quiet. Now is the time to speak your truth. It is your time to be loud, not to shout, but to be fierce in your compassion and your courage and your message. Now is the time for you to speak more than ever. We need people who are aligned with who they are, who are compassionate, who are human, who are loving and empathetic, who have a message and have something to say. So I'm so glad that you're here. I am overjoyed that you are here. We are going to have so much fun. I'm going to share everything that I can with you about speaking techniques, how to look after your voice, how to have fun with it, how to throw your script away, rip it up and use it as confetti to celebrate this new way of speaking that is free, that is fun, that is flexible, and human and connected, because that is what the world needs right now. So I hope for you today, find some time to connect to your fire. What is your engine? What makes you want to get out there and speak? Connect to that today, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to the Inspired Speaker Podcast. If today's episode sparked something in you, I invite you to take one small courageous step. Practice, speak, share. If you'd like support turning your spark into a full-on speaking mastery blaze, then come join me at theinspiredspeakeracademy.com.